Alright guys, here's this week update. Alright, I have removed some of the pairs in my key watch list for today. Alright, simply because those are not something that we want to pay much attention to anymore based on the price development. Right, now let's get started with New Zealand dollar. Alright, since the start of the week, price has been falling a bit. But this drop is pretty corrective, which means it doesn't change the entire structure. Alright, on the higher time frame perspective, we are still looking at the same thing. We're expecting that move higher, at least for the longer term. Alright, because you can see the potential area that you can capitalize on is huge. Alright, right now price is at 0.655. There's the potential to rally all the way to 0.6930 region. Right, so this is something that definitely you want to pay attention to as well. Kiwi-Dollar, we might get a pop maybe end of this week, or even depending on how price develop, we might get it earlier next week. Alright, just keep in mind that because of the recent trade war between China and US, the risk currencies has been selling off, right? But this part here, you might see it as an opportunity in which such sentiment might create certain volatility, alright? And when that rotates back towards a risk-on environment, your risk currency might then be having the opportunity to rally higher. Right, Dollar-CAD, alright, at the start of the week, we shared that there's an opportunity that it will pop higher, perhaps breaking the previous high at 1.3520 before that big move to the downside. Looks like we might get that. Right, so if I just remove this, this is the structure that I'm looking now. Right, if price move higher towards 1.3520, okay, and ideally it's gonna develop in such a way it does this. Right, you get a pattern like this. It's a very strong indication that we will see that drop, alright, and that is where you get the double top as well. Alright, so pay attention to Dollar-CAD. This one here you might get by end of this week, early next week, for potential trade. Okay, Euro Pound rallied a little bit higher since we shared on Monday. Okay, but something I want to highlight again is you have a double top. Okay, and you look at price moving higher, it's pretty much a very corrective pattern, right? Unless it does this, okay, then it's signaling that the probability is to go up. Okay, but if it continues to just do this, okay, it means that your possibility of taking that down trade is still there, right? It doesn't really change much as a whole piece. Okay, so this part here, because it's already broken the top, and this one here, you might actually get one trade. Okay, so pay close attention to it. You might get that one trade within this week. Alright, so this one here, you just want to give it more time for it to develop into a diagonal pattern for that pop to the downside. Okay, Euro Pound, Euro Odd, alright, it has been climbing up, but if you look at this as a whole, okay, it's pretty corrective. Okay, it's pretty corrective, and right now we are at the top. Okay, so if at the top and it does this pattern, okay, it again give us a sell trade to the downside. Okay, so Euro Odd, structurally nothing changed. We are still looking for the downside because this is the move, and then this is where the corrective pattern happens. Okay, you can see this is the correction. It might have ended, it has broke the top. It's ready to perhaps come down all the way to 1.5685. Okay, so huge potential on Euro Aussie. Something I'll pay very close attention to, because same thing as Euro Pound, right? You might get this set up by end of this week. Okay, so something like this, yeah, all the way back down over here. Okay, Pound Aussie is the one that, of course, similar to Euro Aussie. You want to pay very close attention. This part here, it's definitely forming a corrective pattern. Okay, and when that completes, you might get that drop down. Right, how far it goes, of course, first target is somewhere here. It has a potential to drop all the way lower. Okay, because this big one on the daily, you can see this whole piece here is a correction for that big drop. Okay, so something you definitely want to pay very close attention to is Pound Aussie. Okay, so how you want to trade it? Of course, you need certain techniques to enter. All of us has different strategies to get into a trade. All right, you can take a breakout. You can take the top over here for reversal price action. Up to you. All right, but the key I want to share with you is pay close attention to this kind of opportunity. Okay, because that's where you get those big trades happening. Euro Kiwi, nothing much has changed. Alright, since the start of the week we talk about this potential development to the top. This is the key area to pay attention to. It's slowly moving towards there, okay, but not quite there yet. So we might get this by the end of this week or early next week. Alright, so I'm just having this in my watch list to just continue pay attention to it. Kiwi-CAD is very similar to Kiwi-Dollar. Okay, structurally we are expecting the upside. And of course, same thing as the New Zealand. Okay, we are seeing some weakness in it simply because of the sentiment right now in the market based on the trade war between China and US. Right, this one here is actually slightly cleaner than the Kiwi-Dollar. Okay, so something you want to expect is, of course, the break of this low. Okay, the break of this low, you can see it as broken. Right, there's still some room for it to drop further, and if that happens, you do have a very nice three-wave structure for you to take a trade to the upside from the bottom over here. Okay, you might again get this trade by end of this week. Alright, so you see here in the watch list, there are various setups that you might get it by end of this week. Silver trade. Okay, initially we talk about a potential dip lower, but it did a small pop. Right now it's doing this pattern. Okay, it might still come down first and then go up. Alright, so this is something that you want to pay attention to. If you're taking the bigger trade, this is actually a whole piece of correction. Okay, you might want to take the breakout of this to enter your trade, or you might just have a certain retracement strategy, and then from here maybe about 61.8 you can take that trade to the upside. Okay, this is big, and it's more of a longer term trade because minimum target you want to aim for in silver is 15.6. It has the potential to go all the way higher, okay, even to this top of 21. Right, of course it doesn't go one straight line, but that's something you want to pay close attention to. Okay, because we are calling the dollar weakness for the mid to longer term, and when the dollar weakens, your commodities like silver against the dollar would tend to rally. Okay, for oil, longer term perspective, we are still expecting that down move. Alright, this is pretty corrective. Okay, and what I want to point out again is you realize such top tends to be broken and then immediately reverse. It's not like all top will hold or all bottom will hold. But the key is what pattern is developing. Okay, so this pattern here is definitely an impulse, a correction, and then you're expecting another impulse, right? And this here is just a simple three-wave structure, and that's why this is a corrective pattern for more downside. Okay, so if you focus at this pattern over here, okay, it's a bigger one, but if I zoom in, you'll be able to see that this itself is actually a potential similar pattern as well. Okay, so this is a small piece, this is a big piece. Okay, so this is something that I've been saying this for some time, is that train yourself to look at patterns, because when you're able to identify pattern visually, right, these patterns in the market tends to repeat over and over again. Okay, and that's how you want to capitalize on it, right? So if I just bring you down to this small piece over here, you'll be expecting perhaps a pop higher towards 62, and of course if that pops up like that, right, then you get a very nice trade to the downside. Okay, so again, this is again a pattern recognition, a smaller one and a bigger one over here, right? So they tend to happen over and over again, and this thing is called fractal, right? It happens in the bigger piece, it also happens on the smaller piece. Right, so that's all that I have for you in this quick update. Okay, so here is the updated watch list that I'm looking at. There are few within here. It's something that you want to pay very close attention, because tomorrow or maybe Friday you get a trade setup that you can enter. Okay, and of course some of it over here you might want to be slightly more patient, waiting for that trade to come to you, maybe earlier next week. Alright, so that's all that I have for you. Again, if you really appreciate this video and you benefited from it, do give me a thumbs up, alright? And of course, if you believe that such video will benefit your community, your friends as well, do feel free to share it with them. Okay, so with that, I'll talk to you earlier next week again. See you guys.